It's after midnight, and it's time for conversations about love, family, friends, sex, and life. It's Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donavan West, only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hey there, family. You are tuned in to WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media on 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Welcome to yet another episode of Love and Life. I am your host, Carol Riddick, and my alternating co-host, Mr. Donavan West. He sends his love as always. So, family, you know, it is my pleasure and my privilege to spend some time with you. And today is no different. And you know that because I always tell you so. I hope all is coming along well with and for you and yours. Know that I keep you all in my prayers. Just know that. Put that in your back pocket. For those of you who don't know, Love and Life is where we discuss anything and everything as it pertains to both love and life. But we do so with transparency and without judgment. We try to normalize conversations that involve all of those hard to discuss topics. You know, we're human too. We're human too. So our conversation today, it's about sexual health and wellness. And our guest she's phenomenal. Let me start by saying that, okay? But she is a psychotherapist, marriage and family therapist, and clinical sexologist. Now, what I'm told is that she assists with encouraging one's self-acceptance, which we could all use, self-awareness, which we could all use, and self-love, which we could all use. Family, please help me welcome Dr. Heather. Hello there, Dr. Heather. I've got to get some sound effects, like, you know, some hand claps or something like that. So, but just know, hey there. So first of all, thank you. Family, I will have you know that offline, I thanked her. I kept saying, thank you so much for joining us. But I do want you to know that it's such a pleasure, and I do realize the privilege of having you come and talk with us and share. You know, there's so many family members that have questions, and as we say, you know, sometimes when you're talking with your family, you don't want to talk about certain things, but that's not what we do here at Love and Life, because we all need to be educated. We all need to be educated. Okay. So Dr. Heather, for our family members who are unfamiliar and unaware, could you please tell us from where you come and just a little about yourself?
Super flattered to be here. And thanks for having me on your show. I was so excited, couldn't wait, right? Because every opportunity is different, right? And I love it. And I look forward to all of them. So thank you again. I am from West Philadelphia. Don't let me bust out in song. Right?
West Philadelphia. Listen, we will both do it. Okay.
Yes. Born and raised. But yeah, I come from like the South Side. If you're from West Philly, you know what I mean. Yeah. But it's the South Side, it's the North Side. But yes, I have two sisters raised with my mother and my father, although they divorced when I was younger. I went to Cheney. I went to West Philly High too.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, I went to West Philly High. I went to Cheney. I went to Drexel. I went to Widener, and I went to another school in Florida called Maimonides, which is a private university, to get my PhD. Okay. So I have an extensive educational background, and I'd like to say experiential background as well, you know, because I was born in West Philadelphia, right?
We always talk about those experiences. Yes. Which, you know, we all I don't think we give enough credit to just how much
Mhm.
an integral part it plays to who we become. Our street knowledge. We don't give enough credit to that.
I agree. I mean, because sometimes you don't have to have degrees to know things, it's experience. Experience is it makes a world of difference. It's kind of like therapy.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn new behaviors, you do them, right?
So, well, yes. They say when you
Yeah.
know better, you do better. So that
Yeah.
is with regard to, behaviors. That makes so much sense.
Hmm.
So, Dr. Heather, would you please break down for us your areas of expertise,
Hmm. Yep.
please?
So, the bigger picture, I am a psychotherapist, which you said already, Carol. I appreciate that. However, psychotherapy is huge. You can have different areas of where you kind of concentrate most of your work in. And I do little, of course, sex, right? I'm a sexologist. However, I love working with families. So I'm a marriage and family therapist first. That's what my first master's is in. I just love working with families because, being a person of color is like, and then looking around at the world and how we're portrayed and how our families are portrayed. I feel like I am just a little piece of dust in this world trying to help our families live a happier, more knowledgeable, just life, right? Because we're not dysfunctional. I don't adopt that dysfunctional families talk, right? I just think families are families, and you just learn how to be more of a loving family, right?
Love that.
And shed some of those generational processes, right? That we got, right? From being slaves.
How about that?
Right. So it's like, of course we have challenges, but all families do, but you have to figure out how to work through those challenges. So family therapy is my number one heart. That's what I love to do. Right. Especially when you have people who all exist in the same house, and then you're growing up with kids who you're trying to teach where things you didn't learn. So that's where, I would come in as a family therapist, trying to, just like I said, break some of those processes so that they're more healthier, right? And then the relationships that people have in the household. Because sometimes, as an African American, we have our grandparents living in our homes.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And then you have them, and then the parents, and then the kids, and sometimes aunt and uncles, and sometimes cousins, especially immigrants, when they welcome over families. So I help them live in the home to coexist. Right.
I appreciate, I'm sorry to have interjected, but I want to say that I appreciate how you just explained that portion just as simply as you did, because what I realize is that there's such a stigma associated with therapy in our communities. And I would say more so in the past than now. I think we're a little more open to the idea of therapy, but therapy is healthy. It's a good thing, and it actually it helps you find out so many more things about yourself and makes you better able to navigate, maneuver, everything, quite honestly. So I appreciate you explaining that with regard to the family. You're so right about the word dysfunctional. We've been told for so long that the Black family is dysfunctional, that we are individually dysfunctional, the Black woman and the Black man. So when you talk about meeting with different families, I'm curious to know, how would I know? How do you know when or if you need therapy?
So that's the thing, we all do. We all need therapy, really, because therapy is not for a challenge. It could be to help a challenge or challenges, right? However, when you live in a home with people and communication and argue, or just not harmony or not peace is going on, that you could utilize some extra tools. So therapy provides you tools to live, to change behaviors so that you can have peace in the home. To say that simply, right? So let's just say you have a mother, a father, and 2 kids, right? So
Okay.
just remember, so many things go on in that dynamic, like working, right? Childcare, school. It depends on the age of the kids, developmental things that are going on with the kids, relational issues with the couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a mother and a mother, a father and a father, whoever, right? You still are going to experience the outside world. So when you come home, you have to leave that at the door. People have, it's difficult, especially in the times we're living in today. It's been difficult even before the pandemic. People fall into patterns. People stop communicating because they're depressed. Maybe they don't like their job. Maybe they want to be the full-time mom anymore. Maybe they need a break. So, all of these things just kind of culminate. And if you go to therapy before, this is why they have premarital therapy, right? Or pre-relationship therapy, sometimes you could call it. Because you go before you get to the point of like, I'm over this, I'm done. That's what we do. We're like, I can't do this no more. We need therapy. So they come to me. It's like a whole mess.
And that's a good thing you said that too, because as we were saying, as you just stated, we all need therapy. It's not a bad thing, and it's a tool, and it's best to actually seek therapy before you get to that point where you're throwing your hands up and you're saying, all right, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening here, but we need to see somebody. Yeah. It's a good idea so that you don't get to that point of frustration. I should say that because I mean, we all get frustrated at times, but not there. You don't want to get there and then say, okay, this is what we're doing. Yes. So when you meet with couples, like, well, I will say, because we're talking about families with whom you meet, is it just typically with couples, or is it with regard to the variables that you just mentioned? Is it typically the full family, the mother, the father, and the children as well, or other family members even?
Well, it depends on what they come in for, so I do all of that, right? Okay. But if they come in and I'm seeing a couple, which I'll get back to in a second around, like, so family therapy is my thing. I love that. That's where my first master's come from. My second master's is human sexuality, right? Because I love the relationships people have together. Like, we're relational, and people who are coupled, I should say, right? Or partnered is something I adore as well. So if a couple calls, they're like, oh, we need some help. They don't typically bring the kids, right? Later, unless. So the good thing is, because I'm a family therapist, not just a couple therapist, later on, if I see that there is something going on there, like in the parental system around the kids, right? Then I'll say, you know what? Why don't you bring the kids in? Let's have a family session. And they're like, oh, that would be good. My son or my daughter, or they're acting up, or they're feeling what's happening, because they do, kids know what's going on.
They do.
When there's strife or challenge in the couple system.
They definitely do.
They do. And that's a battle though, Carol, let me tell you, like, and I know all of my colleagues will be like, hallelujah to that. So I constantly am telling couples, don't stay together for the kids. I don't know where they got that from. It is so damaging. That's where half my clients come from, because the parents stayed together as kids when they were kids for them, and they just did more damage staying together than they did separating.
Yes. I've always wondered who put that in our psyches. From where did that come?
Where did it come?
No,
do you think it come from I'm reading the Bible right now, and part of and I'm thinking maybe because we get things from the Bible and it's not really what it's saying, right? Sometimes I think we just think that's what it's saying, because it talks about not being divorced unless this thing and that thing, right? So I'm thinking, did we get that from the Bible? I don't know, but I wish we wouldn't keep it.
That was a whole word. Okay. That was an entire word. But
I'm like,
there's so
gosh,
much truth to it though, because you wonder, you say, okay, so I get that you took this point, but did you read anything else?
right.
Did
Oh
you
my
just skip
gosh.
over some other parts?
Yes.
Because,
And I get that people want to live, according to the word or however, right?
mhm.
Or their belief. But I am here to tell you today that is not the thing to do. Because if you are unhappy and causing more trauma in the child, which you are doing, because generally, I'm speaking generally right now, that when a lot of these kids grow up, they don't know how to communicate with other people. They don't know how to be coupled.
Right.
They don't know what intimacy is. They don't know a lot because it was absent.
Yeah.
Because the parents stayed together for the kids.
So when you have a family, well, when you're looking at, say that you have a family come in, it's at that point where after you've spoken with both parents and you say, okay, I see something's going on here, and you bring the kids in. What is that introductory session like when you bring the kids in? How do you introduce the kids into the a therapy conversation?
It's quite amazing, actually. So kids are so cool because they accept you. Like they're like, it depends on their age though. So I'm not talking about like a tween or a teen, right? Because they're usually angry.
Yes.
So, but I actually would have a session with them alone first.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Kind of introduce myself and let them know that what they say here is okay. It's private, right? But the parents already told the kids about me, right? Because I encourage my couples to let the child know or children know they're in therapy and what therapy is. And they do that. And you should see this virtual thing is great. Right? You know why? Because kids they're not knocking on the doors. Are you with Dr. Heather? Are you with Dr. Heather? It's hilarious.
Oh, I love that.
And they want to come say hi and poke their head in. And, so it's, the virtual world has been, there have been some gifts, let me just say, in that way, being able to meet people's families and them not just being in my office, but being able to introduce me. And I let them do it at their own pace because, sometimes they do. And they're like, hey, my so-and-so's here. They want to say hi. They know all about you. So it's further normalizing therapy.
I love that. I was going to ask you how the pandemic affected your ability to actually provide therapy. I should say, how about I do ask that? In what ways did it affect your ability to provide therapy?
Well, let me tell you, Carol, that's a great question. And I'm from the hood, so I adapt. Okay.
We're resourceful.
Yes. Okay. So adapting is like nothing to me. I feel like I just feel like I had to close my office, and I lost that person to person contact with somebody in front of me. But I think when you're a good therapist, you can be just as good virtually. If I still have my clients who I had when I had my office, so to them, it's so the new people that I see definitely like this, and the people that I had, because they don't have to battle with traffic, right? They don't have to try to get to me after work. People can see me more during the day now than they ever could. Although I did have daytime clients before, right? I have more because of since the pandemic, because people are working from home and they're able to take their lunch break and have their therapy. So a lot of people want therapy at lunch. Okay.
Oh, wow. Hey, listen, I'm not mad at that at all. And I overstand wanting therapy at lunch. You have a hard enough time getting your day started, and then you get out, you have so much coming at you in the morning, and you're trying to get to the evening. So I understand. I understand wanting therapy at lunch.
I mean, and more than that, there are people who see me on vacation. Now they keep their slots. They are in the car, like if you have a mother who has a few kids, okay, and a partner, and they're like, I need a break, so I'm going to do my therapy in the car in the driveway.
Oh, wow. I'm not mad at that either.
Oh, it's amazing. I have people on the Appalachian Trail sitting in the chairs, people walking by. It's hilarious. People on the beach. I mean, people do therapy everywhere now, and it's amazing.
I think that's a beautiful thing because, as you said, we all do need it. So I'm happy to know that more of us are seeking it.
Yes.
Family, if you have just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We are talking with none other than Dr. Heather, and we're going to take a short break, but stay with us because when we come back, we're going to talk about so much more. Stay with us.
Word on Jobs.
A new year is here, and if you're searching for new career goals or a new job that fits your skill set, visit wordworks.com to view jobs and program opportunities, including Community Relations Coordinator for WHYY, Disability Services Director for NBME, and Policy Director for Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. Visit WordWorks at word.com and find the career opportunity that's right for you. Brought to you by Pico and Livelihood at Word Radio.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Black Americans have died of COVID-19 at over 2 times the rate of white counterparts. This is due to systemic racism and healthcare disparities. Here are some tips for protecting yourself. Wear a mask covering your mouth and nose. Avoid crowds. Wash your hands with soap and water. Use alcohol-based sanitizers. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice social distancing and follow World Health Organization guidelines. Quarantine if you've been exposed to the virus. Self-isolate if you're experiencing symptoms. Seek medical attention if you experience difficulty breathing, a fever, cough, sudden confusion, or pressure in your chest. If you don't have health insurance or a healthcare provider, try contacting your state health department, community health clinics, or local hospitals for testing and treatment. Together, we can stay informed and empowered. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
When I cross the finish line, it's not just me. I succeed because of others. When I was pregnant, I survived because of others. At 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Because my doctor took quick action and my husband was there to help me, I'm alive. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications, and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
For the Indianapolis Colts. Becoming a running back was no easy task for me, but it's nothing compared to what my amazing mom faces every day. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14 years old, yet she's always there for me, every step of the way, despite her own battles. And the Muscular Dystrophy Association is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Their research is helping find cures and save lives. Watching my mom go through her daily struggles and the care she receives from MDA has made me determined to help find a cure for neuromuscular disease. That is why I support MDA, and that's why I'm so grateful to others who do too. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food, marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised in culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food History and Culture, every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. beginning January 2nd, 2022, exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Hey there, fellow. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We're so happy that you're joining us. I want to send a special hello to our family members on our socials because we know you're there and we appreciate you for being there. We're sending all of our love. We are talking with none other than Dr. Heather. We're talking about wellness, overall wellness, and we're also going to get into talking about sexual health. I couldn't even get that out. Did you hear me? We're also going to talk about sexual health as well, because as we always say, we all have some questions, and we don't always want to talk about certain things, but we all need to be educated. So,
yes,
Dr. Heather, I want to go back to psychotherapy because I want to. I had to say to myself when we were talking about it earlier. I kind of talked about it briefly, or you talked about it briefly, and I want to make sure we all have the perfect understanding of just what psychotherapy is. What exactly is it?
So it's basically you being in therapy, right? And kind of deconstructing things and then reconstructing the new reality, right? So we talk out loud, to the therapist. A lot of us don't talk out loud to a lot of people, especially when it comes to things that are private or personal. Some of us do to our really close friends. But the difference is when you talk out loud to someone like myself, a psychotherapist, I'm able to hear some of the behaviors and patterns that you're saying to me out loud and kind of stop you and point it out to you, right? And make a reference to something, because we learn theory, right? And being a person of color, all these theories don't apply to us, right? Because they weren't made for us. True. So what we do as therapists of color, and I'm going to just include us all because it's like we have to take things from different theories. Little things that we feel like might help. And everybody's different. So you don't use the same theory for everybody or take the same things for everybody. Everybody's uniquely their own, right? In psychotherapy, you are deconstructing. Okay. And I'm helping you to deconstruct what's actually happening, stopping you, kind of saying, let's wait a minute, let's go back, and helping you feel too. Right? Because as you talk, you don't always stop and feel the emotion around what you're saying or what you're deconstructing. Or even, hey, maybe you can't feel the emotion because you don't have emotional intelligence. Maybe that's something you're coming to therapy for. So I help you build that in the deconstruction and to sit in the emotion that you're experiencing and asking you a series of questions around what you're saying. So it's a breakdown, a deconstruction. And then we reconstruct the new reality together, right? Okay. So you're the one with the power. Like this is your story, not mine, right? So then I help you re-story in a way to see another and a better future for yourself, because a lot of people, they can't. They think they're in this, oh, I just don't know how to communicate. I don't know why, I just can't communicate. And I said, well, let's talk about why you think that. Let's talk about what parts of the communication you think you're lacking. And sometimes, Carol, people recognize it's not a bad thing that's going on. It's you're programmed to think it's a bad thing. So once you kind of accept, and I'm talking general here because there's so many things, right, around communication. Communication is so big in so many ways, right? So what I help you do also is stay in the process too, because you can't just come to therapy and just say, okay, I'm in therapy, and walk away and that's it. Right. So you have to actually stay in the process of being in therapy. So that means when you leave the office, you have to say, how do I stay true to the things that I'm talking about in therapy? How do I stay true to my values?
You know, that sounds like going to church. That's what that sounds like to me. That sounds like what, do you know when pastor says, look, you come in to be fed on Sunday, don't you forget when you walk out of this door, like I understand that because it's a practice. You are, you're building a better you.
Yeah.
And going to see you, Dr. Heather, is a way of identifying the tools to do so. And continuing to see you is allowing us to maintain the usage of those tools. So I get that. So with regard to your clientele, do you see different ethnic backgrounds or primarily African Americans or?
Everybody. Yeah, I see everybody, which, you know, some people say, oh, I need someone who's African American. So that's what they do. But then people are like, I don't care who you are. I just need some help. You know,
listen. Right.
I see everybody. And it's amazing. I have all ideal clients because they're working. You know, I don't work harder than my clients. I don't, you know, because it's a team effort here. You have to change the behavior. So, Carol, you know how difficult it is to change a behavior that you've had all your life.
Yes, I do.
I do, you know. So like trying to consciously like think about it. Okay, wait, did I just do that thing that I'm supposed to not do? Okay, I did. And not condemning yourself for it either. Like, is a whole process. You have to give yourself grace and say, okay, I did the thing. I recognized after I did the thing. So how am I going to move forward and forgiving myself for doing the thing and not going down that hole of self-pity around doing the thing? Right?
I'm the one that goes down the rabbit hole. I am she. I'm very hard on myself.
Oh, wow. So I'm here to tell you, give yourself grace. Because nobody else will. It has to start with you.
They really don't. They don't, and they won't. You're absolutely right. Thank you for that. Dr. Heather. She's so right. Family, if you have just tuned in, you are joining us as we discuss love and life. You're listening to and you're watching WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We are talking with none other than Dr. Heather. And thus far, we've been talking about, well, she just broke down a moment ago for me, psychotherapy, and for our other family members who needed just a little more of an explanation about just what that is. So we were talking about the dynamic of family and just how all of us could use just a little help, you know, just to get along, you know, to move forward. I shouldn't say get along because it's not with regard to relationship, but just to maneuver, to navigate life, to navigate every day, to get to the next second, the next minute, and the next moment. So that's what we've been talking about for those of you who were late to the party. But welcome, because we're happy that you're here. So Dr. Heather, I would like to know, when you say that when you said that sometimes the children are introduced into the conversation when you've met with the parents, are there scenarios or situations where you just meet with the children?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Especially if there's some trauma from something called triangulation, right? Which happens when couples are in distress. They usually triangulate a kid in, and say things like, tell your mother this, or, and we as people don't even recognize how small at the time it seems small to us, but it's huge because you're actually relieving some of your stress by bringing that kid in to be on your side, right? When they shouldn't have to pick. So that's when I see a kid alone, because I recognize some of the damage that has been done through one of the partners triangulating the kid into the stress.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're able to talk to me about it. I'm dependent on their age. They're able to talk to me about it, or draw a picture about it. And then I'm able to share this with the couple. And then they, it's amazing when a couple recognizes something about what's going on in the process in the processes in the home, right? They're like, oh my goodness, we did not know that. Kids will say everything too, right?
They sure will.
They will, and they'll say, I'm tired of this, or I don't like this, or, plain. And then some will tell you, listen, they're arguing every day, when they're not telling me that. So that's the process too, though, Carol, the truth. People come to therapy sometimes, and because they've never been and they don't know how it works, they still hold up this facade, right? And not able to give me all of the truth, I should say. So it's a process of me getting those bricks out of that wall, so they can tell me the truth. And then I break partners up sometimes, meaning I see them separately, and then I come back together, right? Because there are secrets usually that I help the couple tell. I don't hold them, and they know it. I say that in the very first session.
Okay.
That's not for me to hold, but it's for me to help you tell your partner. So if you decide that you want to disclose a secret, that's fine. But I'm going to help you tell them.
I have to say, I love your personality. And I can see how easy it must be for anyone to talk with you and to be open with you. But I'm curious to know what you're welcome. But what brought you to this line of work? What made how did you identify, okay, that this is what I want to do?
When I was in college, I was in Cheney. And I had this professor, we all have that teacher who is like a guiding force for you. It was really two of them. But one of them was a couples therapist.
Oh, wow.
And he was teaching because, I had a psychology major, and he was teaching clinical psychology course or something. And Dr. Chaddock was his name. And he used to tell the stories about his couples in class.
Oh, wow.
To help us with the clinical piece. So I was like, I remember going to his office for office hours and kind of just asking him, I know I want to be a therapist, but I don't know what kind of therapist. And I was like, but I'm loving what you're telling us about these couples. So how do I do this? And then he broke it down. He said, well, you got to get a master's in something so that allows you to see couples. And I chose marriage and family therapy. You can do social work, clinical social work, I should say. And you can do a clinical counselor. So, and you can do a psychologist. And I said, no, marriage and family therapy, because I really want to be able to help families coexist, and live and learn some things and help the generations after them.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't just couples, but then, that's what got me into wanting to be a sexologist, because I knew that couples, well, the number one reason people get divorced is money. Right. So, but then the second one is sex, lack of, or just lost it. But I believe that's all because of the money. You're not communicating. Right. It would be different if you communicated. But back to your question, I definitely got this this vision of being a sex therapist when I was at Cheney. And it had just continued to grow the more I learned in school.
I love that. I love how the seed was planted and you said, I identify with that. I know exactly that's what I want to do. Family, we've been talking about a lot, but we have so much more to discuss with Dr. Heather. You are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. Stay with us because we're going to talk about so much more, and we're going to get into the other side of what Dr. Heather does. We're going to talk about sexology. I want to know all about that, as I'm sure you do. So stay with us, okay? Because we'll be right back.
What's up, y'all? It's Janae Latrice and Kayla J. Be sure to tune in Monday through Thursday at 7 p.m. for Crosswords, sharing conversations across generations, right here on WURD. Progressive Black Talk Media. We'll see you there.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
We're often influenced by what we see or hear on social media. Beware of disinformation campaigns targeting Black communities by using cultural issues to incite divisions, spread false information, and negatively influence public opinions. We're in this together, and together we can stay informed and empowered. Learn more at nbcit.org. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things can never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Hey, still shopping for the new year? Or did you receive a gift card for the holidays? Either way, Word Radio's got you covered. Visit wordradio.com and shop at the Word Virtual Marketplace. You can support local, small, Black-owned businesses through the marketplace and shop today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. For those of you who are watching us, you may have seen my little assistant join us just a second ago. Chloe, as you know, her name is Princess Chloe, I call her, but Chloe just joined us. Yes, as she looks up at me. So my assistant is here with us. So now we can continue. We've been talking with Dr. Heather, and we've talked about a few things. As I explained just before the break, we've got a lot more to discuss. But Dr. Heather, I have a question for you. Before we go any further, I want to make sure our family members are able to contact you if they want to know how, what services they can seek from you, and just how they can reach you, how they can find you. So would you share?
Yes, thank you for that. Definitely the best way, I have to say, to seek services is to go on my website. It's sexdrheather.com, SEXDRheather.com. That's the best way, because you fill out a contact card. Okay, with your email, with your phone number. And what happens is you get an email to follow up due to your inquiry with a link. And then you schedule a free 20-minute consultation, right? Just to see if we're a good fit. You know, I do have an associate. So when I don't have any time slots, she does. She specializes in trauma. She's amazing. She's a pastor. I love her. She's amazing. Tania Smythe is her name. And she definitely does a lot of the work that I do as well. That's why she's on board. That's why she's with me. She's been here for about a year. So one of us, you will have your free 20-minute consultation just to kind of talk through things, to see if we can help you, to let you know in what ways we can, if you're open, and then you schedule your first appointment. Right. So that's how that goes. Or you can call my office. You know, the number's 267-455-4009 and leave a voicemail. And then you'll receive the link via text so that you can schedule a free 20-minute consult.
I love that. I love that. So family members, for those of you who did not hear what Dr. Heather said, she said that you can contact her on her website at sexdrheather.com. That's HEATHER, just to be specific, because, you know, we like clarity here. And she also provided her telephone number, which is 267-455-4009. I'm encouraging you all, okay, because I'm having such a great time talking with Dr. Heather that I'm encouraging everybody to seek therapy. I'm encouraging everybody. I do agree with you, Dr. Heather, that it helps. It always helps just to talk. You know, I mean, I have what I call my good cookie girlfriends, which are my therapists, but we have those friends, as you were saying, you have friends with whom you discuss certain things, but I am so not opposed to, therapy. I do believe that there are some issues that some of us need to have, unlocked, we need to have deconstructed, that. So I do agree with that. So I'm so glad you said that. So I do have another question with regard to scenarios, familial scenarios that with which you've had experience. Can you share with us what might be a scenario or a reason that a family might come to see you that we might think is unorthodox, or we might not think
of? Here's one. So, because I am a sexologist, people come to me with everything sexual health related around like human sexual behavior, right? So a family could come because you have a triad, okay? Which is 3 partners. Okay. And 2 of the partners have kids.
Okay.
And then they all cohabitate. They live in the same home.
Oh, wow.
And then maybe the mother or parent of one of them lives in the home with them. Right. And it's causing a lot of turbulence around beliefs, around how to raise the kids, around, wait a minute, but this is a triad, so, the parent of one of the partners might not have issue with the triad, but issue with how the kid is being raised. So therefore saying things to the triad that is causing conflict or strife. And then the community around which they live in, and not being able to come out as a triad because they don't want the kid in school to say anything, or my 2 mothers, my 2 fathers, my 2 thems, right? So it's a lot. It's a lot of kind of just hashing out rules, guidelines, being in agreement around communication of what the kids are going to see and not see, and what they're ready to disclose to family, to friends, to community.
Yeah, oh my goodness. My mind is reeling. I have so many questions as it is, but you just sparked a question. Because first of all, I did ask the question, but I was so unprepared for the response. I did not think of a triad. But of course, I mean, that's how old fashioned I am. I was thinking, wait a what?
No, I wanted to bring that part in, the sexology piece.
Yes. Oh, no. We're talking. Yes. We have time. Thank you, God. We have some time because I have questions. But yes, why not? Let's begin now. Okay, let's begin. Because first of all, before we jump into that, because I want to know if you can explain to our family members just exactly what a sexologist is and what you do before I go to my next question.
So what I do is, sexology is like an interdisciplinary science, basically. And it focuses on diverse aspects of human sexual behavior and sexuality. And there are a lot of different things under that. So if you think about human sexual behavior as a big umbrella, right? Indeed. And it's huge under that umbrella, and everything under it, including sexual development, relationships, intercourse, right? Sexual dysfunction, pathologies related to sexual abuse and trauma. Too. I mean, so it's huge. It's so much. Reproduction.
Right. Okay. So thank you for that. Thank you for that explanation. When you were just talking about the familial scenario, you were talking about the triad. And one thing you said, it sparks a question for me about, with regard to the children and the parental dynamic. Because I know we're talking now about identifying, we're in the age of identifying with regard to sexual preference and orientation. Have you seen that as a difficulty with regard to children, like explaining that to children? I know And okay, so many things are going through my head because I understand that, a lot of what our children know is from learned behavior. But I do understand too that, we have questions. There's so many questions that I do have, but you know what? Before we get into the response, we are going to take a break, okay? And we are going to come right back. We're going to give Dr. Heather a chance to take a breath and me a chance to take a breath before we get into and we're going to talk about sex when we come back. Sex and sexology. So stay with us because we'll be right back.
Stand with WURD Radio, Pennsylvania's only Black-owned talk radio station. Join the movement to keep the conversations going and amplify the voice of the Black community. Show your support. Start or renew your 4WURD membership today at WURDradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
A lot of people say, when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player for the Indianapolis Colts. Becoming a running back was no easy task for me, but it's nothing compared to what my amazing mom faces every day. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14 years old, yet she's always there for me, every step of the way, despite her own battles. And the Muscular Dystrophy Association is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Their research is helping find cures and save lives. Watching my mom go through her daily struggles and the care she receives from MDA has made me determined to help find a cure for neuromuscular disease. That is why I support MDA, and that's why I'm so grateful to others who do too. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
Hey there, family, and welcome to the top of the second hour of Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We've been talking with our phenomenal guest this evening, who is none other than Dr. Heather. She's a psychotherapist, marriage and family therapist, and a clinical sexologist. We've been talking about all of that, and if you've missed it, you're just going to have to watch the episode again when it airs again. But what I want to get into, I know, Dr. Heather, you said, yeah, I want to talk about sexology, and I said, oh, we've got time. Well, how about we don't? Because, you know, it'll go by so quickly. We'll be done. But the question that I was beginning to ask before the commercial was, how do you explain sexual orientation to a child and or to a parent whose child identifies with a pronoun other than he or she? Right.
So I got to tell you, I don't have to explain these things to kids so much. It's the parents. Because the kid is the one who feels the way that they feel, right? And expressing what they're expressing and identifies how they identify. So it's identifying, feeling, and expressing, right? Okay. All of that. They're doing that. So they usually are the ones telling the parents, you know, this is how I feel. This is how I want to express myself. And this is what I'm attracted to when they get to the point of being attracted. Right. But you got to remember, like when you're a child, like a small child, you're not there. You're not thinking about attraction. And we as adults sometimes put that on kids like, oh, they're being she's being sassy or she's being too promiscuous. Like, how is a 3-year-old promiscuous? That doesn't even make no sense. You know, so it's like we're putting our stuff on them. Basically, they usually tell you how they want to express themselves. So, you know, I break it down to parents in a way, you know, sometimes I allow the child to tell them what they need to tell them first. Right. Okay. And I have the parent listen, because a lot of parents don't hear. So the child is speaking, but they're not listening. Oh, that's a good point. Because they're putting it off. Like, oh, no, you don't know what you're saying. You're a kid. This is a phase. And unfortunately, we do that. We think kids are going through phases. And let me tell you, Carol, some kids are going through phases, but not to the point where they're not identifying with the gender. You know, they're just like, I don't think I have one. And then if a parent hears that, they're like, what do you mean? Well, you look like a girl, you're a girl. And then we put those societal norms, I'm going to do quotes, on our kids, right? Instead of listening. So I spend a lot of the session with them listening to what the kid is saying, right? Because sometimes it's not clear. They don't know themselves sometimes. They're just like, well, I don't identify. I don't know what that is. I don't like dresses. Or I mean, like when they're a kid, like little kids. I don't like that. And I don't like that. And I want to go to the bathroom like daddy. Oh, wow. You know, just like certain things. So I help them hear the kid. Right. And then, of course, education. I just educate them. I say, you know, this is expression. This is emotion. This is how they're feeling right now. Okay. So we have to just hear them. So have you had the scenario where the one or both of the parents identified differently from what the child expected or had some difficulty accepting? You mean like if I had parents who identified other than what you could see? Yes. Who identified other than the she or he? Yes. And then the kid was confused? Yes. No. You know why? Okay. Because households like that, they're already teaching. They're growing up woke, I like to say. You know, just like same-sex households. They're growing up woke. They don't have the same questions that we would have. What kind of questions do they have? Because again,
you hear me asking this question. You're saying, no, they've already discussed that. They're already good with it. It's you that's asking that question. So what kind of questions would they have in their households?
The regular questions that have nothing to do with gender. You know, it's communication, or it's like, well, why do my two dads want to hold me so tight and won't let me go out? Or why are they so protective? Or, you know, I'm a teenager now. I want to get out.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's normal things, Carol. So, you know, that's one misconception too that people have, is that when I see same-sex couples, it's so different than heterosexual couples.
For those of us who are uneducated. So I am asking these, but let me first say, because I like to say, whenever I'm having a conversation with regard to sexual orientation or preference, there's a lot that I don't know. So I want to make sure that it is understood by any of our family members who are listening and or watching, that if I say something that is offensive to you, it is not on purpose. It is not on purpose. And that's why I'm asking the questions that I'm asking, because I want to be educated, and I want us all to be educated, because when we know better, we do better. So I'm trying to find out, you know, and understand and have a better understanding, and in doing so, trying to help somebody else to have a better understanding too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And ditto goes for me. You know, although I'm an expert, there are things that I can learn that people say, well, I didn't like when you said this, you know, maybe, you know, it stung, or, you know, so I appreciate that. So forgive me as well. Right.
I like to say that disclaimer, you know, I tell everybody we're all in this together. You know, I ask everybody to be good to themselves, but to be good to those around you. I say it every show. Everybody hears me say it, but I want to lead by example. I want to do the same. So I'm trying to be, what's the word? I want to be mindful. I'm trying to be mindful of how I move, how I speak, because I at no time want to insult anyone. And I know having conversations about sex and sexuality, you know, can sometimes push buttons or be triggers.
Yes.
You know, for people. And I don't want to do that. What I say is that, you know, we can all adult properly. We can communicate effectively. I say it all the time, but there is effort in doing so. And this particular subject matter, there's a lot of effort that needs to be put into it, because we have a lot of, ideologies, there's a lot. Okay, let me just say that there's a lot, and we're not always as open to change. We're not always as open to accepting something different from that with which we have an experience, or, you know, what we believe or perceive to be knowledge of. So, I appreciate you, Dr. Heather, coming here, talking with us, and even the conversation that you introduced about the family, the triad family. That was not within my purview. It was not, you know, it wasn't in my wheelhouse to ask, because I didn't even think of it. But I'm so glad you did. Are there, or would there be, are there other scenarios that please share? Because
definitely. I mean, there are so many different scenarios. Oh my gosh, we could talk forever about them, right? Because we're relational, and people are drawn to people. Right. So there are all types of scenarios. I see individual people too, you know, who are in relationships and who are not in relationships, people who are single, who are looking for relationships and trying to figure out why they keep attracting this certain person. Right. And I help them deconstruct that, and they figure it out. We figure it out together. And next thing you know, they're attracting the people they want to. Right. So, you know, so they're all different kind of scenarios. People could call because they're having difficult relationships at work, you know, and want to know why. They don't. And I think that's great, because that's accountability, when you are able to say, you know what, I think the common denominator is me. I need to figure this out, because I don't want to be the common denominator. I want better relationships. right? And then as we already talked about, couples come together for, hey, is that Princess Zoe?
my little Chloe. Yes, Chloe's right.
sorry.
She is always, she's never far away. Yes, my little I call her my assistant. Yes.
Yes. So cute. You know what? Let me just kind of go. I just want to tell you, I love the name of your show.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate that.
Love and Life. I said, this is so good. I love that name because it's everything, you know?
It is. It encompasses every single thing.
It
and
does.
You know, we like to tell I refer to everybody as our family members because we are all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
But I like our family members to know that it doesn't matter the subject matter. Somebody, one of us, at least a few of us are probably dealing with it or have dealt with it at some time. So I like to be open and transparent about whatever it is that we're discussing. Because, you know, as we said, even in our adult lives, it is difficult sometimes to just be honest about things that we're dealing with because we don't want judgment. We really don't want someone's outside opinion about how we're living our lives. But we, at the same time, we need the education, we need the information, and we want help. So that's what we do here at Love and Life. We talk about those things. We talk about different experiences, and we talk about different familial scenarios and experiences. We, you know, but I'm curious to know, as a sexologist, what would be the challenge? I'll say, I won't say issue. I'll say the challenge for which most of your clients present.
Something I see the most. So I have to tell you, it's lack of self-love.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like the overarching theme to everything, really. You know, acceptance of themselves, right? Because if you don't accept yourself, how do you accept others? And then you accept others, but you really don't. So a lot of people come in thinking it's one thing, but then at the end of the day, it becomes like your self-love and acceptance. And look at if you look at the society though, Carol, like it's a lot of people who don't love themselves, right?
That's true. No, that's true. That's so true.
Who are trying to make you believe they do on social media, but you know, that's false. You know, so it's like having real conversations like we're having, you know, being able to have this platform is a wonderful thing because that other platform is not so great, you know, for people when you look at things around reality, right? Is this reality? And something you said earlier, you said more people are coming to therapy. And I wanted to say, you know, why do you think therapy is more accepted, let's say, than it was in the past? Do you have any?
Well, actually, I think so. Okay. In the more recent past, and I'll speak specifically and particularly with regard to the pandemic, we were all forced to stand still. We were all forced to shut down. Whatever our situations were within our four walls that we consider our residences, we were forced to look at and to deal with. And I think that more people needed an outlet and found therapy as the accepted outlet for them. They you know, they were more accepting of therapy. And that's not the only reason, but I believe that to be one of the reasons. I believe that to be a big reason during the pandemic, because you could not go anywhere physically, but it was the best way to try to cope, to get through and to navigate what you were already dealing with, which was now compounded with this world issue with what everybody was dealing with. So that's why I think therapy is more widely accepted now. But pre-pandemic, I think it was because, listen, we're all, like I said, we're all dealing with something. We are all dealing with something. And whether we realize it or not, I think we kind of felt we were headed for something. We all felt like we were headed for something that we just we could not handle or were going to have some difficulty handling. So I think that the idea of therapy was becoming more accepted prior to the pandemic. But once the pandemic, once we were in the midst of it, but we're still in the pandemic, but you know what I'm saying? Once we were shut down completely, I think that was why it became more acceptable as widely as it did or is now. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think also before the pandemic, I saw more people of color going to therapy, right? And just period, like more women and men. And I'm like, yes, right. And I think social media helped that though.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. Because a lot of these social media, what do you call them? Influencers and celebrities, right? Are in therapy. And they say it. And they're like, I'm in therapy. So we went from one talk show. I'm not going to say this person's name, but it's a talk show host, right? Who I could remember 5 years ago said the worst thing about therapists, right? I was pissed. I was pissed to the point that I was going to write into that show, but I didn't. And then let's fast forward 2 years ago, was all on board talking about my therapist, right? My therapist and things like that helped. It's helping to dismantle some of this stigma.
I saw a TV show. And I was saying to some friends of mine, it was the very first time that I had seen a Black man talk about going to see a therapist. And I love the way the storyline was written because he did not want to go. Because of how he was raised, because of what was told to him, from his family. He also did not want to tell his father. And when he told his father said to him, and I heard it so clearly as if it was one of my own family members. We don't do that. What do you mean? What are you talking about? We don't do that. But I so love how the storyline unfolded too, because of course that both the opinion of both of the men changed, and it was something that they now discuss and talk about and have both done. But the initial conversation and the way that it was introduced in the storyline, it felt so familiar to me, because as growing up, that's all you heard from Black families, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. Exactly. We don't do that. Don't tell. We out there telling business. But I can say that. Yeah,
I do with families. Carol, you wouldn't believe it, but it's still there. When I see people and they say, so we talk about it from your week to week or your 2 weeks to 2 weeks, because I don't see people monthly. That's a waste of your money and my time. Right. So all I see you bi-weekly or weekly. Otherwise, it's not, we're doing nothing but chit chatting. Right.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And I don't condone when therapists do that. So there are therapists who do that as a checkup, which I do. But that's after you've seen me and all you need is a checkup every now and then. Right.
Okay.
But not in the beginning. So going back to, having this stigma attached to therapy and parents, right? So I've had clients who told me, oh, nobody knows I'm in therapy, right? And then the mother being very angry that the kid, that their daughter, grown now, is in therapy. And then months later coming back and saying, my mom wants to come into a therapy session.
I can see that. So based upon what you just shared about, having a checkup, and I'm sure this is this is like a issue specific, but how many sessions would you say an individual or family would see you prior to, or typically see you prior to just seeing you for checkups?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can't really give you a number, so research says that it takes at least 12 to 15 sessions before you're able to feel some type of change or difference or reprieve, let's say, right? Okay. But that doesn't mean that what your goals are all we've accomplished all your goals, right? Because you come to therapy with goals. We talk about what those goals are, and it takes quite some time. So you do, and I appreciate this question because there's another side of this, right? So you have people who come to therapy and are in therapy forever. Okay. Because there's something that is major that they need help with weekly, working through this, right, on a weekly basis. And then you have people who come to therapy for a time. So they're in therapy for 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. So I offer a membership for 4 months, right?
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, and I do that because I believe that weekly therapy will help you faster, right? So then if you're able to have that slot every week, just like you go to the gym, you got your monthly membership.
Wait a minute.
You go or you don't go, you still paying your membership at the end when it's due. So that's what I offer. I offer a 4-month membership. You pay every single month, but you get a slot once a week. And if you come, you come. If you don't, you don't.
I love that. Okay, I want to talk about that some more before, when we come back, after our break. So family members, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back. So stay with us.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
What do an aerospace engineer, cancer immunologist, and bat scientist all have in common? We all have cool jobs in STEM fields. Whether it's building robots or learning to code, girls everywhere are finding their passion for science, technology, engineering, and math through positive role models and mentors. So dare to dive in, get connected, and explore. You never know what your future may hold. Learn more about these and even more cool jobs at SheCanSTEM.com.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things will never ever be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Black Americans have died of COVID-19 at over 2 times the rate of white counterparts. This is due to systemic racism and healthcare disparities. Here are some tips for protecting yourself. Wear a mask covering your mouth and nose. Avoid crowds. Wash your hands with soap and water. Use alcohol-based sanitizers. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice social distancing and follow World Health Organization guidelines. Quarantine if you've been exposed to the virus. Self-isolate if you're experiencing symptoms. Seek medical attention if you experience difficulty breathing, a fever, cough, sudden confusion, or pressure in your chest. If you don't have health insurance or a healthcare provider, try contacting your state health department, community health clinics, or local hospitals for testing and treatment. Together, we can stay informed and empowered. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
When I cross the finish line, it's not just me. I succeed because of others. When I was pregnant, I survived because of others. At 32 weeks, I was diagnosed with preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. Because my doctor took quick action and my husband was there to help me, I'm alive. Too many women die of pregnancy-related complications. and most are preventable. If you or someone you know is pregnant or recently had a baby, learn the warning signs. It could help save her life. Hear her.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent Black media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. We're at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I want to say thank you to those of you who have been hanging with us since the beginning of the program. Thank you to everybody for joining us. How about that? Because I did say that incorrectly. We're happy to have all of you join us. I did forget to mention that, you can feel free to email us whenever you want. You can email us questions, comments, topics to discuss, or even if you just want to say hello. And you can do so by emailing loveandlife@wordradio.com. That's loveandlife@WURDradio.com. And we love. So we express it too when you send some to us, when you send some our way. We've been talking with none other than Dr. Heather. And I want to make sure I repeat Dr. Heather's information too, so that you can contact her if you feel the need to do so. And you can reach her by going to her website, which is sexdrheather.com. That's Heather spelled Heather. So that's sexdrheather.com, or you can call her. You can do so by dialing 267-455-4009. Before the break, I interrupted Dr. Heather because she was talking about this membership plan that she offers, and I want her to explain it again. See, that's why I gave you the contact information, because you might want to reach out to her when she tells you about the membership plan that she offers. So, Dr. Heather, if you wouldn't mind, would you share with us again the whole concept, that membership plan?
Yes, I appreciate you coming back to this. It is something that I wanted to offer because it helps you jump into therapy. So you're not paying per session, right? So it's deeply discounted. So because I will prefer to see you every week so that you can get the proper help, right? And it's like a 4-month contract, just like when you go to the gym. You have a contract. I don't know how many times you go to the gym. I don't go 30, times in a month. But I'm doggone sure paying for that membership. Okay. So, but you have this open slot. You see me once a week for 4 months. If you decide that you want to come on. It's here. This is your slot. And if you miss it, it's no penalty, right? Because usually there's a penalty that if you don't give me a 48-hour notice, you get charged anyway. Right. And when you call me and have your free 20-minute consultation, we'll talk about pricing, what that membership pricing looks like. It's different, of course, for couples, pricing as it is for individuals, but I do have the option for both. Right. So,
Love it.
I do too.
So I have a question. Well, I have tons of questions, but are your services covered through insurance?
That's a great question. And no,
Okay.
a lot of, so, this is unfortunate. And I struggled with this in the beginning years and years ago. I've been doing this for about 20 years. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, insurance companies aren't here for us. Right. Especially us, I'm going to say. Something that you can do, because I'm private pay, is submit your claim to your insurance company. What I give you is something called a super bill. Okay. That's what I give you. I give you a super bill, and then you can submit that super bill or not. If you ask me for it, I'm gonna give it to you. Right. It's up to the insurance company, and who actually picks the claim up, I'm going to say, is if they're going to reimburse you or not.
I love the term super bill. I got the super bill, and you.
Yeah, it's just, that's a real shaky area that is really, really disheartening, because health in our country, health insurance in our country is just, it's not good, right? So when the health insurance companies see that you're not using someone that they want you to use, they don't want to reimburse you.
They don't want to. Yeah, we've had that conversation. Yeah, we know exactly. We know all about that. So I would like to know, because I'm looking at the clock here, and I'm going to try to pick from the 100 questions that I have in my brain. But with regard to sexology, so hypothetically speaking, a couple comes in, or it could just be an individual that comes in to see you. Will this individual see you with regard to a physical issue that they're having? Would you help them work through that, or so you help an individual and couples work through physical issues that they're having with regard to sex?
Oh yeah. So if I can be specific, right? Around, if, let's say, a female who identifies as a female comes in and she has a vulva, right? And she's like, I am unable to experience orgasm. I don't know what that is. Right. So the first thing I do is ask you a series of questions. There's like a sexual health questionnaire that I kind of go through, right? Which is standard. And then, depending on how you answer those questions, I then send you to a gynecologist.
Okay.
Right? To kind of rule out some things. Or I send you to a sexual health practitioner, right? Because there are sexual health medicine MDs.
Now, what exactly is a sexual health practitioner? I've never even heard of that term.
Yeah. We actually have one here who I refer to, this guy, Dr. Giddens.
Oh, yes, we spoke with Dr. Giddens. We love Dr. Giddens.
He's a sexual health practitioner.
Okay, so you know what, the term itself, because I know I'm trying to get everybody's specific terms together. We spoke in depth with Dr. Gittens. We talked about sexual dysfunction.
We
talked about okay.
So we work in conjunction, with one another. So I send people to him, and say, hey, this is what's going on. I need for you to rule these things out, so if he does or doesn't, we work together, because it's sometimes it's physiological, and that's where he comes in. And then I come in with psychological, right? And help you there. So it's amazing.
I love the partnership.
Yeah.
We talk about challenges. We talk about, as you've said, deconstructing the challenges that we're having and trying to rebuild. But, I think that we sometimes forget that we are, for lack of another way of describing it, machines, and our machines need to be maintained. And, sometimes some of our parts, you're like, okay, wait, something's going on with this one. We need to be mindful that we have so many moving parts, and that they all need some TLC.
Yes, they need to be loved on.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that if the hub isn't taken care of, if we don't take care of, the core, then that just knocks everything else out of whack. So
I agree.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love
Love.
it.
It brings us to the title, love and life, right?
Yes,
So,
it does. Everything comes right on that.
You got the love on you. And you got to know what love is. So that's another thing. You know, what is love to you? Do you know what love is? It'd be nice if we had a course in love when we were growing up in school, right?
It really would. Even if we had conversations about it. I can
Oh,
say
we didn't.
we did. Yeah, we didn't. I can say that I didn't have many conversations about love growing up. It wasn't until I think, well, you know what? Those conversations began in my teenage years, like preteen, because the sex conversations came.
Yep.
So and what we tend to do is equate love with sex. We don't talk about self-love first before we get to sex.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
And pleasure. We don't talk about pleasure. We don't talk about intimacy. And we don't talk about love. So, I don't remember talking about love ever when I grew up. And, it's a book that I absolutely love. Here it is right here. But this is like I read this book over and over again. It's by Bell Hooks. It's called All About Love. It talks about having a love ethic, right? And how we all need one. So I encourage my clients to read. So I'm one of those therapists, like, when we talk about something, I say, well, you know what, get this book, right? And then we talk about the book. We kind of go through and talk about things, but All About Love is just a very great book, all about love.
Yeah. I'm going to have to pick that up, Dr. Heather, because I love to read. I would like to know, as we age, both men and women, is there a suggestion that you can give us? I know we're talking about self-love, but is there a suggestion that you have for us about maintaining or managing a healthy sex life?
Yeah. So I can give you books, and I would say communication is managing and maintaining. And we don't do that. We think we do, right? But we're not communicating. So how many people are having a sexual experience, consensual, of course, and then talking about it in depth afterwards? How many people are doing that? Nope. Not a lot.
I don't know anybody that's doing that.
So if you do that, could be super helpful as you continue your healthy sexual relationship with someone, right? Kind of talking about it without judgment, really, because you want to hear the person. You want to have reflective listening. You know what? I want you to do more of this instead of don't do this, don't do that. You can say, I like these things. I want you to do more of this. When you did that, it felt good. That is what you need to be doing.
How do we normalize that? Like you're saying, we don't tend to do that, but how do we normalize it? Like, how do we start that conversation?
So before you have sex, right? So you have to have conversations before that, talking about, hey, what kind of things do you like? What kind of things don't you like? What were some of the experiences that you had that weren't so great? How can we have a good experience? And I'd like to talk about this more. I want to continue this conversation after this. I don't just want to talk about it because we haven't had sex. I want to talk about it after sex too. I want to know how we can continue to have a pleasurable sex life together. If you're interested in that, you have to be interested in pleasure for both.
Sure.
Or for the other person, because some people aren't, they're like, oh, I just want you to have pleasure, but you need to talk about that.
So when you're talking with your clients and you have a couple and you're talking about introducing this conversation about intimacy and pleasure and what and how to please one another, do you find that there's one that's more apt or open to the discussion than the other?
Not overall, no. I feel like both of them are pretty reserved usually, because they've never talked about it as openly as they talk about it in therapy. But then people, what I think is adorable is that they are talking though, and they're looking at each other like, I didn't know that. So, I see people who were married for 20, 30, 40 years and they're looking like, I never knew that.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, learning new things about each other. It's amazing. And you can do that at any age, in any number of years that you're together with someone, if you just talk. Right?
We talk so much about communication. We talk with couples here on the show too, because we have segments where we talk with just couples, and every single one of our couples talks about communication. They say that is the main ingredient, but it's a lot of work. And I get that. Well, listen, family. If you have just joined us, you're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We've been talking with Dr. Heather, and you missed a lot if you just tuned in. But we've been talking about love, life, sex, all of that good stuff. And we've got more to discuss. So stay with us, because we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Word on Jobs.
A new year is here, and if you're searching for new career goals or a new job that fits your skill set, visit WordWorks.com to view jobs and program opportunities, including Community Relations Coordinator for WHYY, Disability Services Director for NBME, and Policy Director for Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. Visit WordWorks at Word.com and find the career opportunity that's right for you. Brought to you by Pico and Livelihood at Word Radio.
What do an aerospace engineer, cancer immunologist, and bat scientist all have in common? We all have cool jobs in STEM fields. Whether it's building robots or learning to code, girls everywhere are finding their passion for science, technology, engineering, and math through positive role models and mentors. So dare to dive in, get connected, and explore. You never know what your future may hold. Learn more about these and even more cool jobs at SheCanSTEM.com.
We're often influenced by what we see or hear on social media. Beware of disinformation campaigns targeting Black communities by using cultural issues to incite divisions, spread false information, and negatively influence public opinions. We're in this together, and together we can stay informed and empowered. Learn more at nbcit.org. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things will never ever be the same, don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side. Even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path, all you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
Email from school. What about the incident today?
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
Hey family, I'm Carol Riddick.
And I'm Donavan S. And we're the hosts of Love and Life, a new show about,
well, love and life.
This show is an informative, entertaining, and refreshing take on the hard conversations about love and life.
Each day, we'll provide real facts and honest opinions on dating, sexual health, casual, and committed relationships.
These late night conversations will be served on a judgment-free platter and seasoned with unapologetic realness.
So join join us Sunday night through Thursday night at midnight on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. I want to say once again hello to our family members on our socials. We so appreciate you joining us. We really, really, really do. I want to remind you once again that for those of you who want to communicate with us, you can do so by emailing us at loveandlife@wordradio.com. You know, we love to hear from you. And I also want to make sure that you have Dr. Heather's information in case you want to reach out to her. Dr. Heather can be reached at sexdrheather.com. That's HEATHER. And her number is 267-455-4009. Now, I understand we don't have a whole lot more time left, but I have so many more questions. So with the time that we do have, Dr. Heather, I'm interested in knowing, well, twofold. This question is twofold. How important do you feel premarital therapy is, and what suggestions do you have for us with regard to premarital therapy and the process overall?
Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. So I think it's extremely important just because you want to make sure you're a good fit, right? So I think some of the mistakes we make is saying, oh, we're just going to get married and figure it out after that, right? Instead of figuring it out before you sign that paper, you know, and then possibly maybe you won't sign that paper, you know, because some things, and before you even, how about not premarital, but pre-premarital? So to figure out if you even want to get engaged, okay, to be married, I think you need to come into couples therapy because you are going to learn so much about each other. You're going to learn how to communicate healthy. So what's going to happen is like healthy communication skills. And you're going to kind of talk about your past, like your family situations, because when you get married, oh my goodness, like you have that family now. You're not marrying just the person, you're marrying the entire family.
Yes. People don't always realize that. I'm sorry to have interjected. Yes, go right ahead.
I appreciate it. This is a talk show, right? We talking. I love it. I love it. So I definitely, you know what, Carol, they don't know. They don't know that I got your family now because they try not to. And therein lies the problem, right?
Yes.
Not understanding that.
I've seen that. I've seen that happen.
And there's a lot. So, you know, values. So we could say superficially, oh, I value family. Oh, I value love, right? When you ask somebody their values, but what therapy does is help get to those core values and ask you questions that get to the core values, not just the surface ones that we see people saying, right? And then, so the people say, these are my values. These are my values. So now let's see how they align. What are your top 5?
Do
they match?
That stung. Wow. Yeah, because I should have had those conversations. But let me ask you this. What is the difference between premarital therapy and counseling, premarital counseling?
It's the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
It's the same thing. It just depends on who you're having it with, and I don't. So you can get premarital counseling at church, right? And sometimes those aren't licensed clinicians, right? But they're giving you the word through the Bible, or the religion that you follow, right? Which is just as important, right? Because you have to have a center around something. So you need to learn that, and you need to learn what the clinician is going to teach you.
I asked the question, what the difference is. And I, prior to being married, I did have premarital counseling, but you have to actually accept what it is that comes out of counseling.
You do.
And that I will be honest about my own experience, because I did not accept all of what came out of premarital counseling, which is why I'm single now. but I mean, I think it's a great point, and it's something that needs to be understood.
It does, but you got to learn too, Carol. So that was your journey, right? And you needed that. So now and I'm pretty sure you gained things from that experience that you wouldn't have had if you didn't have that. So it's the journey. And listen, you have to get premarital counseling, premarital therapy, or pre-engagement. Let's say you can call it whatever you want, but you definitely need this. Like when you get with somebody, I have couples coming to me who say, we don't know. We've been together for 5 years, but I don't know. They don't know. Let's figure this out. And then after being in therapy for a year, figured it out that they weren't the match that they thought they were, and went on about their way. Okay.
Wow. Well, you know what? That does not surprise me. But it does not surprise me. But I have to say, I have enjoyed every single morsel that you have provided in this conversation that we've had, every single nugget that you've given us to put in our back pockets. Family, if you have just tuned in, you are tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, at 96.1 FM and 900 AM. And we've been talking with none other than Dr. Heather, who, as I've just told you, has given us all kinds of morsels and nuggets and pearls to put in our pockets. But we've talked about love. We've talked about life. We've talked about sex. We've talked about identification. We've talked about everything: sexual orientation, sexual preferences, and everything under the sun. And I am so grateful for I'm so grateful for the knowledge you've imparted. I'm so grateful for being able to open up about some things, because like I said, it's always good to just have a conversation about things and just air out, because I always believe that there's something from each of our journeys that another person can take with them to, for the betterment along their own journey. But family, I hate telling you this, but that wraps up today's episode of Love and Life. I know, on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. I want to extend my utmost gratitude to you, family, for spending some time with us. Your company and your attention are always welcome, because I always tell you so. Thank you to the entire WURD family, and to my alternating co-host, Mr. Donavan West, and a tremendous and special thank you to our guest, Dr. Heather. Thank you so much. Everybody, family, have a great night, have a great morning, and have a great rest of your day. Remember, we are all in this together, okay? So be good to you, but be good to those around you, all right? Make sure you join us at midnight for another edition of Love and Life on WURD. Be well, family.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka the Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food, marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's going to play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black